Welcome once again to Behind the Screen. This is the 8th such stream. By now, anyone who's a regular will be sick of the disclaimers, but I've got to do them because they're disclaimers, and I feel like I owe it to everyone to do so. So, first disclaimer, get the big one out of the way right now. This is not official. Onyx Path are just kind enough to lend me the platform for a few hours every couple of weeks. If you have any complaints, please direct them towards them. No, that's fine. If you have any complaints, let me know. I'm open to criticism and improving things. I'm hoping in the new year to sort out this whole background and get a green screen so that it's just blank, but money, right? Who has it? Also, I am disabled. Hopefully soon I'll have a proper diagnosis, but for now, all I can say is that I experience muscle spasms, which can occasionally lead to stuttering or slurred speech. I apologize for any discomfort that you experience. I know it's uncomfortable to watch. I struggle with multiple trains of thought, so if a question is asked in the chat that you can see right there on the screen below my face, I will try to finish my current train of thought before jumping onto that. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, and I have been known to go too far with the train of thought, follow it to its logical conclusion, probably to the detriment of everything else, but there we go. And as I can clearly not take on guest... Well, I could take on guest hosts. That's the thing to think about for the future. To work in cross-promotion with the rest of the channel. You have 5 monsters and a willpower of 10. Nice. I will be trying to work in things from other shows on the channel, so... in theory, I'll be doing the custom stunt Eat into Space today, taken from Occultist Anonymous. But there we go. A couple of things to point out. If you want to keep in touch with Onyx Path news, that's the link for you. Monday update. Okay, apparently I've disconnected. Am I back? Streamlabs says I'm back. Well, there we go. That doesn't bode well in the slightest. That was just a stream disconnect, though, not the Streamlabs problem, where the bandwidth drops to 0. So, I'm hoping that that's fine. Luckily, I noticed my tablet switch to the disconnect screen. Anyway, hopefully that doesn't happen too often. What was I saying? Monday meeting notes. That's where you get your weekly update about what's happening in the many worlds of Onyx Path. If this does keep happening, I will have to just turn off my VPN, I guess. Not that I do anything, shady. I just like having that extra level of security. Usually there's the Twitch streaming schedule if you don't have the time to check the Twitch channel with kind of summaries of the different streams. Salient points from this week's for me. There's some sweet cosplay at PAX. There is the next Kickstarter is called To the Blood Gods for V5, so that's pretty hype. And if you missed out on the Kickstarter for the Scarred Lands Creature Collection, which is just my understanding, a bestiary and selection of maps and things for Scarred Lands, which is 5e compatible. I assume D&D OGL 5e compatible. You can now pre-order it. I think the link's in the article. If not, I can, no doubt, Plastic Age Blaze will drop the link because that is a subject dear to his heart. Or I could do it anyway. I have my eye on it. I'm just trying to figure out. Also, Exalted Essence. Yeah, I guess I kind of skipped over that. That is a pretty big thing. I'll be honest. So I played Exalted Second Ed, Dragon Blooded. Had a great time with it. When I encountered the page count for Exalted 3, I took one look at it and went, I'm not buying that book. So a simplified Exalted is definitely perfect and much needed. Although if you like the break that is 3, go for it. More power to you. I just don't have the time, money, or bookshelf space, or study of bookshelves for that tome. I think tome is the appropriate word for that book. But yes, Exalted Essence. How dare I forget that? Yeah, my Exalted was like the first main non-D&D game I played in terms of campaign. That was great. Played entirely over Skype through text. So, Grimoire works as well. Exalted's like sword and sorcery fantasy on steroids, where you just essentially godlike at the end of it. Is the easiest way to describe it. It's really nuanced, so getting a really brief boilerplate elevator pitch is difficult. I'm sure someone in chat can do it far better than I can. It's really cool. Some cool ideas. It needed the update to 3E. It's still the storyteller system from what I remember from the Monday meeting notes. I mean, I could just check. I have the page open. Okay, I have the page open. That's the wrong browser. Whoop. Where's the relevant section on? Oh, right. It's a really, really long description. Okay, so kind of clarifications. It's still a version of the storyteller system. Casts and aspects will happen. 10 exalted types will include solars, lunars, dragon-blooded, exigent, sidereals, jetimians or getimians, liminals, abyssals, alchemicals, and infernals. There will be some setting information in the book. Enough to run games, but it's compatible with the setting information from current forthcoming 3E books. You don't need any other book to run it. Essence will work, and it's to capture the feel of Exalted, the vast epic fantasy game that has captured imaginations for almost 2 decades. But it's a lighter version, so simplified, streamlined, and not the absolute. To use the internet terminology, the absolute unit, which is Exalted 3E. Because this is Twitch, you have to get in on those memes and things, apparently. Who knows? I certainly don't. I don't meme that much on my own channel, so why would I meme here? Anyway. So that's that. It's pretty hype. Everything's pretty hype over on the Monday meeting notes if you're an Onyx Path fan, I guess. It's standalone. You don't need any other book. The other books will just kind of give you extra information to help with it. I'm definitely going to be interested in checking it out, or at least kind of checking out more previews of it when that happens. I'll also obviously share that link and stuff at the end of the stream as usual. But so kind of key takeaways. Exalted Essence, I'll put that at the top so I don't forget again. Cool cosplay at PAX Unplugged. Call to the Blood Gods coming to Kickstarter at some point. And the Scarred Lands Creature Collection Compendium, what have you. You can pre-order it through BackerKit. If you missed out. Here's the link. And I'll share those links at the end as well. Something else to point out, I did change the font here. If it's less accessible for people, please do tell me. I thought I'd just kind of tie it in with general Onyx Path themes and branding. But I can of course change it. I just felt like Arial it left a lot of space around the text, so I wanted something slightly larger, and unfortunate event, Dewarped kind of fit. Yeah, setting information is something that, as long as it gives you enough, you can just build on, which is something I was going to talk about at some point, probably today. Anyway, moving on. So those were those disclaimers. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? No. So recap. So far in these 8 streams, I have waxed lyrical for 2 hours on general GM tips. Again, I thank anyone who sat through that and listened to me talk about all of that stuff and who's watched it subsequently on YouTube. Super crunchy standalone book for playing Exalted in the vast majority of role players. Man, Exalted is so crunchy. Speaking of YouTube, last stream, episode 7. Anyone who's here, you will remember that Streamlabs struck and stopped broadcasting. No, it didn't stop broadcasting. It still registered as broadcasting. It stopped sending data. So I have a 2 video in 2 parts, and I don't think anything was really lost, but every time I've tried to stitch that video together, the program I use has either crashed, it's dropped frames, or something else has happened. So those videos are cursed. And I'm just uploading them as 2 separate videos to my YouTube channel. So if you do want to catch up on that material, part 2 will be up after this video. after this stream ends, I'll start the upload immediately. Because I came to it this morning, I was like, I need to do something. I need to get this video up, but I'm just going to give up trying to stitch it and just do 2 videos. So that's what's happened. That's what happened to the last stream. As ever, of course, if you are a Twitch sub, you have a week's exclusivity anyway. It's up to you, dude. Part 1's up already, and it seemed to go up fine. So I'm hoping that part 2 will go up okay. It's just I tried like 3 times over the past week, and it didn't work, so I just gave up. I don't think it matters as much, but if you want to, by all means, go ahead. I appreciate the offer. Cool. If it happens again, and I, like with today's stream, I might take you up on that offer. It's just really annoying. I hope Streamlabs sorts that out soon. But I've figured out how to keep track of the bandwidth from Streamlabs. And obviously I have the tablet to my side that tells me if something's going wrong. So that's what happens. But you may have been able to take away from that hype. Hype indeed. I have 2 days remaining on my sub. Unfortunately, I cannot renew it because it's Twitch Prime. You may have taken away from that all of this goes up on YouTube if you're new to these streams. Everything goes up on my YouTube channel, not Onyx Path's. Although if Onyx Path want it to go up there, I'm happy for them to do it, obviously. But I don't know how that would work with copyright stuff. But it's all put Comrade Bubbles. There's a playlist for this Onyx Path stuff and everything else I do. If you're interested in older material. There we go. When I finish this Chronicle, I'll probably start season 3 for the next one. But who knows? I certainly don't. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about off the bat. So recap so far, as I say, episode 2 was just talking about tips. Episodes 2 through 7, points 1, point 1, and point 2, have broadly been the stuff that you can see right here. All of this. 5 pages in a Google Doc. I need to pause this preview because I have 2 previews running and my internet's good. I don't want to push things too far. We've covered themes and mood and how I use those to determine how I write content. An outline of the Chronicle, and then 6 scenes. 7, I guess 6 and a coda section, which took way longer than I expected, but if writing homebrew material has taught me anything, it's that time is an irregular constant that you can never predict. So if you are interested in writing content, formally writing content, not just doing what I do and just creating it ad hoc for games, be prepared for it to take far longer than you expected. It probably wouldn't have taken so long, but I also spent time making 3 Sure Thing Black Plague, 3 SGC template block things for each introductory scene. Sorry, not 3, 4. 4 SGC template block things for each introductory scene, and talking through my thought processes and things, which obviously you wouldn't do if you had 9 pages, huh? Obviously you wouldn't do if you were doing this yourself. You wouldn't have to explain to anything. You wouldn't have to kind of... you wouldn't have people in chat showing you up with better ideas, for example. And that's fine. That was the whole point of this. It's community-driven. The Onyx Path community so far has been great. None of you have been mean to me, so that's great. I particularly like that fact. Also, if you are mean to me, I'm a mod. There is also another mod in chat, but take that veiled threat as you will. Not that we will abuse our powers. Behave. Anyway, that's that awkward diatribe. So we're still on introductory scenes. However, sorry, lost my words. Thank you, Plastic Age Plays. I heart you too. I really enjoyed those Deviant sessions. Man, Man, Deviant's so creepy. Anyway, we're still on the introductory scenes, but as I have said previously, I don't expect every group to play through the individual ones. This is certainly not if players are new to the game or to role-playing games in general. There's a lot of hesitation, and there's a lot of initial hesitation I've noticed through running introductory events. So, as an alternative to that, you may have guessed from the title on the screen right now, we're having a group introduction scene as well, which will just be kind of the default assumed scene to help kind of get to grips with the characters, but it's going to stick to my low stakes ethos for the first scene of anything designed to introduce players to a game or a setting or the hobby in general. As ever, if you have questions, feel free to ask. I'll answer them the best I can. If it's Onyx Path related, about actual game stuff, Plastic Age players are probably going to be more likely to answer you than I am in any detail. But there we go. I'm just going to take a sip of water and quickly check my show notes, because I actually have show notes. Yes. Any design notes will be included in an appendix, probably the last appendix in the document, because this is all going to go up on StoryPath Nexus for use with it as a pay what you want model. Boilerplate will, of course, indicate that this has been made with the help of the Onyx Path community, and it's all kind of OGL. I guess OGL is the right term for it. Licensing stuff. Again, it's not an official product. It's just me and you folks. Yeah. So, take a drink, and then we'll get started. OGL, not the right term for it. I didn't think it was. I'm pretty sure OGL applies only to Wizards games. Community creation license? Community content. There we go. Have I had a few days. Also to the point that I don't have a tissue on me, so I'm just going to grab some tissues, and then I'll get started, I promise. I'm back. It also just reminded me, I'm expecting a parcel today. I was hoping it would arrive before now, but it's supposed to arrive between 11 and 3 my time, and clearly it's 2:30. I will, of course, mute the mic when that happens and go and grab that. I apologise. I was hoping it would arrive beforehand, but clearly it hasn't. Also, I apologise for the confusion over OGL. As I say, I've had a trying few days, and I love what I do, all 3 of my jobs, but they are tiring. Let's go with tiring. I haven't had any time really to relax recently, so there we go. I don't have to preach to the converted. I know loads of people are in the same book. Same boat. There we go. Anyway, let's get started. Heroes Hope the next few a bit more chill. Oh, they are. For instance, I'm not going to be going over to my stream after this stream to stream there. I'm taking that few hours to relax. Do I have an outline of this planning process shared, Myzari? It's not shared, but it's here, if this was what you mean. Shells and cheese. I have a pasta bake for tea later, if that counts. Man, I do like some pasta bake. If this is what you mean, Myzari, I can always put this into something and then tweet it, tag Onyx Path, and hope they retweet it for people who want to see things like this. If you want... You're just stuck at work? Oh, that sucks. So is this outline, which I shall read out if you're stuck at work, introductory scenes, 1 scene per player, group scene, and then a scene for them to meet, and then 1 to 2 scenes to investigate, and 1 finale scene. Is that kind of the outline you meant, or something else? Or do you mean my? I don't know why I'm doing this. Do you mean my general general planning process situation? Because that's extremely ad hoc. Also, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. Okay, I'm going to get started. If you clarify anything, I will address that. So, group introduction. Just outlines what's important per scene. That is really going to start now. That kind of, with the group introductory scenes, the individual introductory scenes. No worries. I watch Twitch on my console quite a lot, so I have to type on my tablet, so I know how long it takes to type out things. With the introductory scenes, the thing I wanted to get across there was just how to create kind of small scenes and what to focus on in those scenes as important when creating them. With the group, with the main, quote unquote, main scenes, I'm going to be doing kind of the way I was thinking of doing it would be general kind of setting of the scene with quote unquote boxed text. I'm saying quote unquote and doing the air quotes for people who are just listening, to give a bit of flavor for the story guide to draw upon, and then kind of say what the scene is about, why the scene, what the players might get out of the scene, and where it might logically go from there, possibly. This is something I found in the Pugmire. Oh, speaking of Pugmire, I meant to say this at the top of the episode. It's the Pause and Clause finale today at 8 p.m. EST. That's Pugmire. You play as dogs. It's great. But something that is included in the rulebook for Pugmire, which you can get as a phone PDF, which was really cool, is an adventure. And it has like a brief scene overview of where the scene could logically go and stuff like that. And I was probably going to do that with this. I'm not going to say it leads into this scene because I want people to be able to use this in any way they want to use it, whether it is just follow each scene sequentially or kind of as the story guide's reading through the material, they have ideas and they want to put them in somewhere, so they do something and then come back to this story thread. That works for me. So I'm going to have, as a kind of a bit of setting description, and then what is kind of important for the characters to take away from the scene, and then kind of a collection of characters. I'm not going to make a story guide template thing for every character in the game. I will be here till the end of time if I were to do that, and I really don't want to be. Onyx Path don't, but I do. Where did this window go? That was the wrong window. This window. This video will go up next week because there is a week's exclusivity for subs, just so you are aware of that. Really? Really, YouTube? You're going to do that to me? Gosh darn it, YouTube. Why do you hate me? That's the playlist on my channel where these videos go up. Apparently, YouTube didn't want to put the last one in that playlist, despite the fact I told it to. Anyway, that's just content creative problems. Setting important information. Yeah, I won't be making stat blocks for every story guide character. Because, as I say, I'll be here to the end of time if I did that. But I will be kind of doing not really sidebars, but something to kind of say, hey, this is this character. Cut about, please do. This is this character, this is what's important to them, this is their motivation. So essentially it will be very similar to what I was doing here with an adjective for their personality type and then their motivation, but in slightly more detail. and probably include a starting level of I can't remember how the book puts it, but friendly, indifferent, hostile, etc. That kind of level of social. Why, thank you, Maisari. I appreciate it. That kind of level of social interaction for players, for groups who use that. I personally don't, but that's the joy of role-playing games. You can ignore whichever rules you want to use and whichever rules you don't want to use. I just find that things like that and things like the doors system in Chronicles of Darkness, they're really cool, really thematic, but the groups I play with, it just bogs down the game too much. The worst example I've found of this, and kind of I can see what they're trying to do with it, but I'm not going to mention it. Let's move on. I don't want to badmouth all the games on Onyx Path's channel. If it's on my channel and you ask that question, I will answer it, but not here. So, group introduction scene. Again, the idea is to get the players hopefully they're invested in the characters, but to get them comfortable with the characters, to get them to start thinking about their characters and what their characters are like and kind of what they'll do behind when they're not doing their day job. Although, obviously, depending on what their day job is, it might be where this scene is. You're asking for my feelings on V5? V5's great. I run a V5 campaign for a board game cafe on occasion, and yeah, it's really cool. Could do with some discipline cards, but I know there are fan resources for that. I was happy with the updated rulebook, updated PDF book, updated rulebook PDF as well, with the mostly working bookmarks. It's fantastic. It's a really fun system. I enjoy what they do with it, and V5 could use a few tweaks. Yep. Yeah, it could. But there's no perfect game. So, there we go. Anyway, so, to get players comfortable, to get them sort of invested, to get them thinking about their characters and beyond just the dots on a sheet and the few kind of narrative twists that the sheet has incorporated, like the path system, the knacks that they have access to, that kind of thing. Because I don't think there's actually anywhere to record concept. I don't believe there is. Anyway, so it's going to be a festival of some kind. Now, this is sure thing. Avoid the manager at all costs. This is where it's going to be down to you understanding my interpretation of certain words and things, and cultural divides and whatnot. But this is going to be a festival in terms of that it combines like carnival games, live music, and kind of general socializing, as opposed to just a music festival. It's kind of, I assume that translates across to most English-speaking countries, or most countries, but I just want to clarify that's what I mean when I'm talking about festival. Just an outdoor entertainment thing with no particular focus. So, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. Let's actually do something to help me with everything that I'm talking about. Why do I have the schedule? I don't need the schedule open anymore. The bandwidth is fine. Streamlabs appears to be behaving for now. Temporarily going to lose access to chat because I've covered it with the Scion rulebook. I wish I had a third monitor, but I do not. Pantheons, there we go. Let's go for a Pantheon that isn't represented in the player characters. Most of them are, unfortunately. Ooh, let's go with that. That's a possibility. Okay, so how to best put this? I guess it's just the PCs are at the red and crimson food festival. Back but losing chat. Okay, no worries. So, bit of setting information. If I put it in double quotation marks to remind myself, because I guess I could go through italics, but there we go. Red and Crimson Food Festival is a touring festival run by a known Zion. Oh, hang on. That's the wrong way around. Gosh darn it. Okay, so we're having issue like Bara without the correct accents above the letters. I fixed that when I put it into, something actually useful. And is a celebration of life. Good goof food. God food. That's, closer, I guess. Good food and family. It tours the country. Brings joy to many people. Within its gates, music is heard. And obviously these things are subject to change when I... Sorry, I thought this was the door. When I put them into the final document. But for now, within its gates, music is heard, fun is had, and stories are told. And then kind of a bit about the purpose of the scene for the SGC. Let's go with SGC eyes only. The scene is designed to encourage the players to think about how what their characters do in their downtime, and to help them get comfortable with... Sorry, I'm going to try and stop leaning forwards because I realize I zoomed in too far with the webcam and I can't bother to fix it. Core concepts of... I hyphenate role-playing. Some people don't. They just run it as one word. Get used to it. You'll probably see it a lot. Get comfortable with the core concepts of role-playing, as well as getting them to start thinking about their characters. As ever, if you have anything to suggest or any question to ask, please do so. Otherwise, this is just me talking into a microphone, staring at a webcam occasionally, while a Word document grows words on screen. You know what? Let's have that the first thing that is read. There we go. So I'm not going to go into exhaustive detail like some published material does with kind of the characters will go here and do this. The characters will go here and do this thing also. It's going to be much more broad strokes. That's why my goal is to give a handful of characters that could potentially give the relevant information to the characters. They go to a couple of places, learn some things. Certainly in the investigation scenes, that I'm not looking forward to having to write those because of how I approach that kind of thing, which is, here are a couple of important locations. You might find something at either any of them. I guess I could just do like a random thing, or D10, depending on the result. They find something. Anyway. Sorry, just trying to think. I think what would be useful now, certainly, before moving on to anything like how the Chronicle starts in this scene, is to get some zones written out. So first of all, is split into a few areas of similar activities. Live music, food, games, a quiet area for contemplation, and a large stage for storytelling. Because Aishu Elekbar is a storyteller, let us not forget. Currently playing a one-off, maybe 3 to 4 session Instagram Chronicles can play and try D&D 5e, so it's a great topic. Oh, cool. Something I've learned from intro Chronicles of Darkness games. Don't sweat, or D&D games in general, don't sweat getting them together. The best example I found of kind of getting any player party together for Chronicles of Darkness was a free role-playing game day, world role-playing game day, whatever, adventure that was set entirely in a block of flats, and the players were all people who lived in the flats who got together for a communal poker game, and then stuff just went wrong. I think I've got it somewhere. There might be a Geist game. One sec. It's behind me, so hopefully it won't take me too long to find. If it takes more like 15 seconds to find, I'll just keep going with this. But just so that you can have the name to see if you can find it for reference. So now my hair looks even worse. That's great. That's great. Benefits of a high def webcam. I can't find it. Apparently, I must have given it back to the guy I borrowed it off of, but I did not give him back his Geist quick start. So that's a whoops. But yes, Chronicles of Darkness to me, for like an intro game, like your idea with they have different reasons to event and all hell breaks loose. If you want to hammer home the fact that, boy howdy, Immortals at a severe disadvantage in the Chronicles of Darkness, I just throw them into a place where they can't get out. Cruise ship trapped at sea, there's no escape, or kind of a, I don't want to say Silent Hill, but kind of a Silent Hill situation where they're trapped in a nightmare. That was pretty cool. I've run that a few times, where they're in a village, and essentially they have to just get out of the village, but they're trapped, which is where more of the horror comes in, and then the stuff that happens in the village. The first time I ran that, someone turned into a teddy bear, which was great, but it's also the way that I handle it, the way I dealt with it meant that I could introduce the other game lines just to show how many more things than just people there are. So because it's a dream, you can show them the true horror of faces. So they go into a bar and, oh god, there's a one of the wretched. I can't remember the lineage name. Essentially, Frankenstein. There was a Frankenstein Promethean in a bar, and his entire scars, mismatched body parts, sparks were on view, talking to a changeling, who you could see through the mien of, that kind of thing. And have clearly a werewolf on the outskirts, being chased, and players being chased by a vampire, perhaps. Of course, Chronicles of Darkness been able to play more than 3 games. That does suck. I'm hoping to get a chance to run more Chronicles of Darkness now that I'm doing more freelancing GMing stuff. Anyway, but it's as an intro game, Mazari, what you've thought of, definitely, it works. It's just handling the all hell breaking loose and how whatever other things that the game is built around that you want to involve. Anyway, so first of all, Split into Fury is similar activities: live music, food, games, quiet area for contemplation, and a large stage for storytelling. Again, Aishua Lake Bara, very, very much into storytelling. There's a G there. I believe it goes there. I know him by his voodoo name. Yep. But there we go. So that should give enough rough zones for the player characters to interact with. Certainly, I'm assuming that Martina, or Martina, depending on, will probably be more interested in the live music side of things. So let's have each area has a few things the PCs can interact with. Music area has an open mic tent for musicians / singers. What else would you find? Maybe workshops. A couple of workshop tents. And rule of 3, because you should always do things in 3s, apparently. What else would you find in a music area? Sorry, freelance work and all that. Anyway, never mind. I'll ignore the temptation to check my emails. I'm doing this. Gosh darn it. Open mic, workshops, maybe just a shop with maintenance, restoration. There we go. Couple workshop tents and a small art shop. I like it. Shop selling I guess instrument supplies. The limited repair service. Sorry, I need to fix my hair. Or I'll just leave it down and you can all glorify in it. I mean, obviously the food area is going to have a food... the food area has a food tent. An open air barbecue. I'll just put BBQ. No, I'll type it out. I won't be lazy. A food tent, an open air barbecue, and cooking lessons. Okay, I was hoping my mic wasn't picking up the phone I can hear ringing. Cooking lessons. Games area has a few carnival games. See below. Ooh, I like it. I like it. So an art shop. / graphic design startup. And a small shop selling instruments, supplies, limited repair service, food areas, food tent, open air barbecue, cooking lessons, the games areas for carnival games, see below. I just kind of discussed those after this immediate point. So this gives you the C to include a couple of fun handouts for players. Man, handouts. I really, really should get better at making handouts for my games. My players wouldn't. My players are very focused on pushing the story forwards. None of them take notes, for example. I handle all of that and have to... I'm the one in charge of the campaign journal. Anyway, the quiet area has a few tents. With comfortable seating. Let's say a meditation tree. And a small Zen garden with benches. And the stage for storytelling, I think, is just kind of on its own. Has or is occupied by the scion in charge of the festival. I will name that scion later. I don't have the time, and nor is it interesting to watch someone try to figure out a name for something. But I'll probably look at traditional African names and see what meanings they have associated with them and pick something suitable. There are small workshops for improvisation and storytelling, as well as a few publicity agents. Okay, so the only thing I need to define is the carnival games. So we'll have I'll try using this to denote sidebars and try to work out how to put a sidebar in, but that might just be in the main block of the text, the final product. Who knows? Carnival games. Test of strength, because you should always have a test of strength. Allow the players any strength-based skill pool. How would I phrase this? Difficulty required to win. Oh, wait. This game has a difficulty of 3. There we go. That is a much easier way of putting it. So it needs 3 successes to win. Co-count. Yeah, sure, why not? Coconut shy / equivalent. Allow the players any reasonable dice pool. Reasonable dice pool. I should say dice pool, not skill pool. I don't know. I put skill pool. Allow the players any reasonable dice pool. This game has a difficulty of 1 with prizes awarded. Prizes awarded, huh? Those are some really safe prizes from supernatural creatures. With prizes awarded at, let's say, 2, 3, 2C, 3C, and 4C. To represent the fact that the game's usually rigged and The coconut might be stuck to the plinth or whatever. So you have to buy off the complications to actually win a prize. Test of strength, coconut shy. For the more kind of cerebral characters, let's have a... I don't know how to simply put it, but you know those things where you have to guess how many beans are in a jar or whatever. Guess how many buttons are in... Let's just say button guessing game. Ooh, not driving, co-workers got it for now. Nice. I don't drive personally because of my disability, but I know how tiring driving can be, so enjoy that sweet shift system. Allow the players any reasonable dice pool. So clearly the point here is to get the players thinking about, I'm not good at intelligence, but maybe cunning could work for trying to figure out how many, guessing the dimensions of the box as well as the buttons, that kind of thing. Just trying to get them used to the fact that there's no one fixed dice pool for anything. So their character will be able to do something a different way to a different character, for example. But apart from fictional money, there's no stakes to this at all. This game has a difficulty of 3. With a prize awarded at 2C. Target shooting has the mirror's maze. Ooh, I like those. Well, I would put target shooting under the coconut shy and equivalent. I'll put an and instead of a slash. But I will clarify target shooting, etc. I don't know why I capitalize things sometimes. I just do, I guess. But the House of Mirrors maze. Yes. I like that. Thank you, Maizari. I'm just going to copy paste this. Oh, right. Yeah, it doesn't do the thing Word does. Curse you. I can't be lazy. Another player any reasonable dice pool. Prize is awarded if the player, brackets, manages to navigate the maze within a set time limit. I'm now going to check the correct wording on this so that I don't use terminology from different games. I don't want any of these things. Nope, still not there. Complex action. There we go. I was going to say extended action, but I know that's not what this game uses. So, this game is treated as a complex action. That's really so helpful. Let's say it has... How many milestones do you think is appropriate for this? 3 or 4? Now, so I'm caught up to target shooting. How like speed shooting targets for time assisted targeting. What up to story guide discretion? I'm not that interested in specifying. These are just kind of general things to get people rolling dice, because I love pool-based systems so much. Just rolling all of the dice I possibly can at once, it feels so good. But there we go. Also, my parcel is now late. Uh, I, I think three. I think 3 milestones is enough. Each interval will be, say, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I really enjoyed Exalted 2, yes. Or I would have done if we weren't using electronic dice rollers. Yeah, let's say this game is treated as a complex action with 3 milestones. Each interval lasts for 5 minutes. Is that the best way to phrase it? How's it phrased in the book? It doesn't really say. Okay. Twitch keeps refreshing the main page. I've got the video with all the tags under the player, and I'm terrified that Streamlabs has messed up again. Anyway, each interval is, we'll say 5 minutes long. It's not a big maze, but it's still sizable, especially because there's a sign involved, so it's probably sort of magical. And has a difficulty of, let's say 3 again. Should difficulty be capitalized? Yes, it should. In all of these instances. My bad. Man, that difficulty 3 roll, huh? There we go. Because your secret follower is going to donate with 5k every time you blink. Oh, that'd be cool. Anyway, each interval is 5 minutes long. So navigate the maze with a set time limit. So the best possible time then would be 15 minutes. Ooh, hot dog or any food eating contest. Yes, I like it. I'll put that as kind of like an other games section that you could have, anywhere. Obviously, that would be in the food area, but within a set time limit. I recommend. Let's just go for the best time. The best time would be 15 minutes. And then in brackets, 3 intervals. Other games. Oops, nope. Yeah, this is just a bit affair with music and con elements as well. Trying to think of less common challenges. I appreciate the effort. I was only able to think of common ones. But it's just something to get people rolling dice. What did you whoops time roller? Also, of course, one of the points of this entire show that I was trying to make is that you can how to change mechanics or how to use mechanics to support non-common occurrences. So, like with the food eating contest, which is one of the few things where I'm going to say, much like with the test of strength, use a specific attribute. I'll just pull Ash's sheet, so I've got a list of attributes. So almost definitely this will be a resolve. Not resolve. Stamina roll. Point is, I'm good looking and handsome. Black Plague, flattery like that will get you everywhere. Food eating contest. I guess I could even go so far as to say this is this would have to be a stamina and I guess integrity roll to point out that it is okay occasionally to specify certain dice pools for your players to use. However, I have a secondary point that I will include in the text so that you can all see it while I'm talking about it. Any players taking part in this contest must use a stamina. Let's go with the space, make it easy to read. Plus integrity dice pool. Contest is a complex action. A number of milestones equal to the contestants. So obviously this is a variable difficulty action left entirely up to the story guides. The word has gone. Quick, save me, Plastic Age players. You were so good last time. Discretion. There we go. I saved myself. I'm a self-rescuing princess. Complex action, number of milestones equal to the contestants. Each interval lasts for, we'll say, 30 seconds. Eating is basic. Pulling it after 50 pounds is not. Hells yeah. Equal to contestants. Each interval lasts for 30 seconds and has a... Thought of a better way of doing it. Each interval lasts for 30 seconds and has difficulty of 2. For each interval after the first, for each successive interval even. After the first, there is a cumulative. Right, so how do we want, how mean are we feeling? Because we could do a cumulative +1 complication, which, you know, easy mode. Or you could just go straight for that +2 complication, so it's around interval 2. It's a +2 complication, interval 3, it's a +4 complication. I think that is a bit high, actually, all things considered. I think a cumulative +1C is fine. Obviously, this is all designed to help people understand how the game works and the difference between difficulties, between difficulty and complication. How would I treat complications in this? Bring it up +1 is good. It shows it getting out everyone. Yeah. And +2 I think just increases the complication too much. I mean, as written, you wouldn't need to buy off all the complications to get the milestone. I think I still want the complication there though. So what I might do is say for every 2 complications bought off, the players gain a point of momentum. I believe momentum is used, can be used by Origin characters. 1 second. Whoop. That was the noise you have to make when you go to, page 1705. That's the noise you have to use to get to any index. You have to go whoop. Because you can do extra dice and stuff. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I was desperately racking my brains to think what you can spend it on for certain in Origin. It's adding dice, adding intervals, and activating knacks, which you won't have at this point. But still, momentum might be useful in an Origin game for adding dice and intervals. So, for each successive interval after the first, there's a cumulative +1C. For every 2C, I guess bought off. Is that the way the game phrases it? I think it's bought off. I'm just going to put bought off. Then I got pulled away to set up a coworker. Gosh darn it, coworkers. For every two complications bought off, players gain. I'm trying to think of. You know what? I'll go with what's usually done. Gain 1 point of momentum. And then this is a point where you can explain the momentum pool, I guess, if a player decides to interact with this particular thing. Any other uncommon games people can think of that we can try to shoehorn into this scene? I don't go out much, so I don't go to many fairs or festivals. Yeah, that's a problem. Although I guess, sorry, one sec. We could treat the open mic thing. Yeah, let's go with that. Open mic tent. Tnet. Open mic tent. Any players taking part? I'll put game in this event. Activity, there we go. That'd be a culture. I don't think you can really use any other skill for performance. Maybe leadership, but for this we'll specify culture. Also, I like the body purge thing. I do like it, but I wanted to keep this simple because it is an introductory scene. What I could do, though, is rather than give a point of momentum per every 2 complications, for every 2 complications not bought off, I don't want to be dealing with that kind of logistical stuff. I think because this is just an introduction to the mechanics, I'm happy with it, unless you can think of any way of doing that simply. True. Okay, I just want to check something. Because the thing is, failure as written gives you a point of momentum. Or it's the easiest consolation is a point of momentum. Okay, yeah, fine. You've persuaded me, Black Plague. Failing to meet. Let's have any character who fails to get a single success during any interval is out of the contest. That's a simple way of doing it. Well, that's what we could use the complications for, actually. No, I get that, Black Plague. That's well thought out. With a difficulty of 2, you won't be able to get 3 failures because you'd be rolling -1 dice at that point. Or -1 die. I'm just trying to think how this would express. So if you beat the difficulty, you're okay. Guess the complications could remove 1 die from future pools. To a minimum of 1 die. Yeah, I think that works better. Yeah, yeah. So as cumulative one complication each. Unresolved complication. That's the easiest way I can think to phrase it right now. Obviously, this is all subject to change. Also, I'm happy to see Siliconbot and Nightbot are both with us today. Each unresolved complication subtracts 1 die from the relevant characters pool. To a minimum of 1 die per pool. Because if you're only rolling 1 die, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of success. And obviously you can't get the difficulty 2 easily, unless you're doing something weird. Where is the thing I was going to check? It's one of those days, guys. Folks, it's one of those days. Yeah, I thought it exploded. Cool. So, unless you're extremely lucky, you would need what? A 1 in... I can't be bothered with probabilities right now. But to get the 2 successes, you've got to get the 1 in 10 of a 10, and then the 1 in 3 of a 7, 8, 9, or 10. 1 in 3-ish, I guess. 1 in 4? Is 8, 9, 10 at origin? I'm sorry, I'm so tired. You don't understand how tired I am. Oh boy. Actually, I guess some of you probably do, to be fair. Also, of course, while I'm talking all this through and searching to clarify what the points I'm making, one, people in chat might be answering my questions. Exactly, this was the whole point of the communal creation thing. And it's also helping me to subconsciously work through things. I just remembered optical character recognition is the thing. 8, 9, 10? Yeah, A+ for Origin. I know it changes. Which is always where I stumble. Yes, OCR, of course. You type in target number and get tasks and Kamikazuchi talent. That is so good. Anyway, so yeah, 8, 9, 10. You've got a 1 in 3 chance of success. Hey, dude, that gender neutral dude. That was the whole point of this show, and why I'm hoping that, admittedly, while it is an awkward time period for a lot of people, more people start checking it out. Because the more people there are here, obviously up to a certain point. There we go. I found the right page. I was on the wrong thing. 3% chance. Thank you for doing the math, or maths if you prefer. Okay, it's demigod where it goes down to 7. Cool. But dice do explode, so yeah. So it's technically not impossible at 1 die, but it's highly unlikely. So you're probably going to be out anyway. Because if you let's have any character who fails to get a single success during any intervals after the contest. There we go. That actually, do you prefer maths? I do as well. I'm British, but I know that most people who watch the show are American for some reason, despite the fact, obviously, it's early morning-ish. Anyway, so that's the food eating contest. Open mic test. Any players taking part in this activity, I'd say allow the players any culture-based dice pool. Players any culture-based dice pool. That's not even how you spell dice. What is going on? Allow players any culture-based dice pool. activity has a... That's missing an eye. Well, it wasn't missing an eye. It was in the wrong place. My bad. Let's say it has a difficulty of 2 or 3. And then in brackets, depending on time of day. Another time of day. Evening. Performances draw large crowds. Are you saying this is an issue with Americans who prefer BBQ and Tex? I'm a Texan. I'm not saying it's an issue with you Americans, with Americans. I just find it weird that it's early in the morning for you all and mid-afternoon for my time zone and Europe, and still not many Europeans here. I include British people within Europe, UK within Europe, and, ERA, citizens of ERA. Anyway, evening performances draw larger crowds, reflected in the higher difficulty. Time is weird. Man, that is... You are not wrong. 10:30 for you in Ontario. Yeah, it's 25 past 3 here. And Europe, it'll be 25 past 4 through to 25 past 5. Yeah, you have a Finn player? Oh, man. I know a few Finns from online games, and they're generally pretty chill people. Timey-wimey, definitely. I was going to check something. That's what I was going to check. Degree of success. I think I was going to go for like 2. There we go. Excellent. Yeah, 2. So if you have 4 successes, you're real good. You're real good. 9:30 a.m. Well, thank you for tuning in at that time of the day. Obviously, you're driving, but thank you for tuning in. Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. This activity has a difficulty of 2 or 3, but 2 or more degrees of success will grant a plus, let's say 2 enhancement to future social-based roles. For the duration of this scene. So then this will be where you explain the enhancement system if anyone obviously interacts with this activity, as well as the whole fact that some effects do linger. Anyone think of any other kind of non-standard activity you can do at a festival such as this? The only thing that I would advise not letting player characters do is storytelling, because you don't know what stage of Scion. It's going to go poorly for you, especially one of Aeshir Legbara. Do not anger the tricksters. There's good advice for life. I guess the workshop, but that would really be similar to that. Cooking, carnival games. Maybe an activity in the quiet area that leads to a +1 enhancement to the next knowledge roll because you've focused yourself. Oh, wait. No, add 1 interval to the next complex action of the scene. There we go. Meditation tree. Pigback racing? As in, you bet which pig will win the race kind of thing. The trickster is just a master planner. That's what the voices tell you. True that. Again, I'll probably specify maybe integrity for this. Oh, my parcel might be here. Oh, you ride a pig in a... I've never encountered that. That seems like a farm show thing more than an town centre, city centre festival. Composure. It'd be composure. Yeah, composure and culture. Culture? Integrity. I was just looking at culture. Let's just copy paste this wording. Sounds like mutton busting, and that is more like a country fair thing. That sounds horrible. I mean, I get what it is. I know what mutton is, but there was a farm I used to go to actually when I was a kid. My parents would take me there for the Halloween event because Halloween events are great. And they had a sheep racing event where they put little devils on the back of sheep and kind of just you bet on which sheep would win. And I assume it's similar animals the world over, but just seeing sheep run with this plush devil kind of flippy flopping all over the place, it was just funny. Composure plus integrity. Raise your hand if you like the country fair. Ooh, shell game. I like it. Especially as a trickster festival. I knew there was something wrong up here. I never been to a country fair. They're not that big. Certainly around any of the places I've lived in Britain. Must use composure plus integrity dice pool. This activity has difficulty of... Let's say 3. Let's say 3, purely because it's in the middle of a festival. Has difficulty of 3. Thank you. I appreciate it. I can only imagine how expensive it would be for me to travel to Texas. This activity has difficulty of 3. Succeeding at... Apparently, I can't spell... obviously, I've mentioned before, my microphone is in the middle of my keyboard for my field of view. Succeeding at this activity grants the character an additional interval in the next complex action. They attempt this scene. FedEx won't charge much. Wherever I'm going, I'll get there by 9 a.m. Succeeding in this activity grants the character an additional interval in the next complex action they attempt this scene. I think that works. So if they choose to go to the food eating contest, that'll be weird, but right, I might try and figure out a way to word that. An automatically successful interval. Because the only 2 complex actions in this scene you don't really want an extra interval. A successful one would work. It is in the US. It is illegal to ship a human via FedEx. I can't speak for the UK though. I believe the Royal Mail frowns upon it. Exactly, should be good. Put fragile. I am fragile. Current geopolitical climate is not helping that state either. What was the other suggestion? Oh, hang on. Post. Sorry about that, but I didn't really want to have to go to the post office tomorrow. Shell game. Right. Click in the right window. Last time you sang with FedEx to sell Telegram. I'm sure they believed it as well. 100% guarantee that they believed it. I need to capitalize that because that's what I've been doing elsewhere. I'm going to hate myself when I go back through this and uncapitalize everything. Shell game. Why did I put a colon? I guess let's see what you could roll for this. Cunning. Maybe composure if you're trying to keep calm to keep track. Maybe manipulation if you're trying to psych them out. What skills could you potentially use? Again, persuasion if you're trying to psych them out. Subterfuge would be the obvious one. There's no general awareness or perception skill. Academics, if you know what's going on as well, I guess. Let's go with allow the player to use any reasonable dice pool. Ow, I just punched my table. Ow. Pro tip from me to you, don't punch tables, especially solid wood ones. Other players, any reasonable dice pool. Nope. Please. Activity has a difficulty. The table did win. Right, how are we feeling about this? Do we have a variable difficulty? Oh, sweet, we got paid. Based on how mean the story guide's feeling at the time. Do we have it with complications? So sure, you can succeed technically. Ooh, I like that. You succeed at the shell game, but the complication is all the sleight of hand coming from the person doing it. Does that sound like it works to people? I kind of feel like that's also stealing the success by saying, yes, you beat the difficulty, well done, you succeeded at the action, but you still failed because you couldn't pay off the complication. So that's where I'm coming from right now. I'm torn with that idea. I'm very much in favor of supporting players, not taking victory away from them. Although last night, while we're kind of having this debate and waiting for chat to feedback, last night to kind of illustrate my point, because again, secondary point of this show, I allowed my players to think they'd killed the troll, but then it regenerated a couple of times and then escaped. Yes, on 10, the show game guy makes you lose by pocketing. Oh, so we all know the show game is a scam. Make a perception. I guess ignoring mechanics, boiling it down to the most simple thing possible. Do I give this game like a difficulty 4, which is pretty high, and say that you have to beat this difficulty because it's crooked? The shell game person is really talented at what they're doing, or give it difficulty 2, say. Actually, that might work. I'm trying to avoid contested rolls in this because you could totally do a contested roll. I could say that what difficulty here would represent is that also your random generation of the correct result, Black Plague, is also a possibility. What difficulty in this case would be just replacing the contested check. So, like average person on the street, I would assign maybe someone who kind of focuses on this. 3 in dexterity, maybe 3 in subterfuge for 6 dice, so you've got a 1 in 3 chance. So that would be difficulty 2 roll to avoid story guide rolling dice. But equally, we could do that. We'll go with that actually. You know, let's have two roles in this activity. First role is to keep track of where the ball is. Second role is to see if you notice where I think the word is hookster actually puts the ball once you've done the thing. This activity is a contested role. Test, I believe. It's the wording. Where's the thing? Nope, too far. Why does every game have to have a different word for it? Is it a contested action? Can anyone confirm or deny? Why does this... let's just check the index. Because I want to be using the language of the game itself when I'm writing these to help with removing confusion and sorry, wind. Contest, page 69. Help with just kind of the homogeny of the product line. Opposition? Complex action with opposed participants as a contest. That's not quite what I'm looking for, but hopefully I'm nearby. I just want simple actions. Because I generally tend to think of it as contested or actions. But if that's not what the game uses, that's not what I want to use. Opposed difficulty. Okay, I mean, that makes sense. That does make sense, but contested uses an opposed difficulty. How to phrase this? Using the well, this I guess it would be a primary pool, so it'd be 5 rather than 6. Game runners pool of 5 dice. There we go. We don't need any stats for it. They'll just use 5 dice for this. So if the player has any enhancements, they'll obviously play into this. The game runner has no enhancements. So that's that. But then the activity also has 2C. So like roll a dice, even odd, so I have to player wins 3 games, and maybe NPC saying want to go for double each time, and the NPC's like, we're going to go for less, asking them to do with the hand to choose. Yeah, that would work as well. I'm just going to make this flat assumption that they're cheating to begin with, which might be, uncharitable, but there we go. The activity also has 2C. If this complication is brought off, let's say resolved. I'll stick to... I think I'll use resolve for all of this. If this complication is resolved, the player sees that the activity, the game runner palms the ball at the end of the game. When the player makes their choice. There we go. And then it's up to the player if they want to, argue about it. You like a little random if you can't tell? I can tell. If this were a scene later in the Chronicle, I would maybe lean towards that, but as this is intended to introduce mechanics and things, and we've got 6 activities here, I think that 7 activities here, I think that's enough for now. If you think of anything else, please do tweet at me at Comrade Bubbles, or hop into any of my streams. Twitch is also Comrade Bubbles, and I'll see what I can do. 7 games for now, I think, is okay. Otherwise, I'm just going to get trapped in the mire of making games, which I love doing. You could probably tell, but yeah, more than enough. This is all just designed to help people get to grips with how the system works. So that's a sidebar. I might include this actually at the end of the scenes, like a subsection, because it's a bit longer than I anticipated it being. Okay, so scene is designed to encourage players to think about what their characters do in the downtime, help them get comfortable with the core concepts of role-playing, as well as get them to start thinking about their characters and how core concepts of the game / role-playing, as well as getting them to start thinking about their characters. PCs are at the Reading Crimson Food Festival. That's a bit of flavour about the festival that you can read to the things. The way that I was anticipating this going is that you'd be like someone going through your intro game? Cool. Yeah, obviously Chronicles of Darkness has slightly different mechanics, but if you want to take a screenshot, Mazari, go ahead. Might go and add a line about asking each player where kind of their character would be and what they're kind of doing. Okay. The SGC should ask each player the last video. You know it's me? Oh, good, because I panic every time. Should ask each. You can't work too on my phone, but we'll go back to YouTube VOD. Cool. I'm just trying to think if I could do anything to help with that. I don't think so. I mean, short of forcing people to follow me on Twitter, which is a bit, not great. It's poor community. Just like, you must do this so you can get this reward. Should ask each player what their character is doing after explaining what let's say what their character is doing. You can Twitter follow. Well, it's Comrade Bubbles if you really want to. I'm trying to be better at non-alert posting, but when I'm having a bad day, I just don't want to go on social media at all. But if you do that, I can copy paste the text into like a JPEG or a PDF so that you've got it for you. So you've got it. Although I guess for things like this, I could just keep a Google Drive document with them in and just add to it. Anyway, that's something I can think about. SGC should ask each player what their character is doing. No worries. It just might be easier than you taking a screenshot, like navigating through the video to a certain point and then taking a screenshot. Anyway, should ask each player what their character is doing, and allow each player to take their time to explore interact with one or two things and move to the next player. You got the pre-release? Definitely. I think that's kind of getting the point across. I want this. At this point, this is essentially pre-release material, yes. Once it's written, although I probably should start doing this soon to save myself time later, I'm going to copy it into... I'm probably going to use Word because I don't have InDesign, and I know how to bookmark in Word. Publisher doesn't bookmark properly. But I spend a lot of time formatting things in Word. Or whatever program I end up using. I'll smarten it up, correct language where necessary, and then release it with bookmarks and relevant things, like a table of contents, all hyperlinked if I can. Well, I know how to do it. So anyway, so we've got information for story guide only, the briefest of brief settings, bit of flavor that you can share with the players if you want to. And then more information on the festival, and a bit of guideline about what the story guide what the story guide should be doing. Yeah, that's a legally binding curse. That is. Bit of information what the story guide character should do in this instance. Again, this is like an introductory thing, so if you're not familiar with role-playing games, this is a bit of advice for that. Overview of what's available for interaction with. Each area has a few things that PCs can interact with. In addition, there are numerous rumors surrounding local celebrities and events. Players can pick up on. This is left to the SGC's discretion. I might have like a random table in an appendix for people to roll on if they really want to see things, though. And if PCs are present with friends, allow conversations to happen naturally. With players taking the role of the friends, if desired, to stop people having a lot of downtime more than anything. And if PCs are present with friends. You think you froze again? I can wave my head a little bit. If you can't see it moving, you're frozen. And if PCs are present with friends, allow conversations to happen naturally. Players take the role of the friends if desired. I think that's okay for like the social kind of the big difficulty with anything like this is expecting social interaction between characters. This is, there we go. Do not force characters, or it is perfectly okay for the PCs to be separated during the scene. To be separate during the scene. There we go. And then the end of the scene. Once all the players have had a chance to explore their character's interests. I was going to say that's wrong. To explore their character's interests and get to grips with the dice rolling mechanics. With the mechanics of the game. Sorry, I didn't have much for lunch, and I'm getting really hungry. But I've only got to the last 5 minutes to take it to the 2-hour slot of the stream, so get to grips with the mechanics of the game. You know what I'll specify with Scion's mechanics? Just because there are other games in there. Okay, any game social combat we need, don't be afraid to use it and encourage players to use it when they can't agree. Definitely. That's what I like about games that have like a willpower track or something, because that works as a social health pool. Mention food should probably break my fast. You probably should. I'm sorry for mentioning food. The scene moves in a more action-oriented direction. I don't think it's worth having a... let's throw this up here. Precise time of day is left to SG's discretion. There we go. So, how to phrase this, or do I keep you all hanging in terribly suspenseful suspense, because that works as a sentence, about what happens once everyone's got to grips with the game. I mean, you can probably figure it out based on what's happened else in other streams, but I'm kind of tempted to be that guy. Today that guy, and leave you all in suspense, because just checking the calendar, I won't be streaming again until January. On this channel, anyway. Till the 7th of January. Because 2 weeks from today is Christmas Eve. Which is a good thing the mail arrived, because that was presents. Bye, Claire. Have a safe trip. And the thing is, if I want to do this show again before January, I've only got next week. And next week's going to be really busy for me anyway. On the other hand, I don't know how long it's going to take me to do what I want to do with this scene. So I'm probably going to have to leave you all in suspense about what happens this more action-oriented direction. Okay, also my partner's just arrived, so I better wrap up. So, anyway. I will be back at 9 a.m. EST on the 7th of January. Although I do, have Twitter if you want to talk to me. I have my own channel, Comrade Bubbles, if you want to talk to me. If you have any follow-up questions, that kind of thing. I hope you've enjoyed this 2-hour stream. As ever, if you have a Twitch and Amazon Prime account, you get a free subscription through Twitch Prime if you link your Twitch and Amazon accounts that you can use here, that supports the channel, obviously. Those two channels, Twitch and Twitter, if you have any lingering GM questions for any system, I will offer them, or like soundboarding or insights. Thank you for giving me the platform, Plastic Age Plays and the rest of the Onyx Path staff. If you ever do want to keep keep up to date with Onyx Path news, the Monday meeting notes is probably the best way to do it, where you'll find out all about upcoming Kickstarters and products and things. As I said, later today, I believe it's 8 p.m. EST, is the season finale for Paws and Claws, the Pugmire game. So check that out if you're free. I'm sure it'll be a blast, and Pugmire is great. You can get the Pugmire rulebook as a phone PDF through DriveThruRPG, which is great because it's sized for phones. Makes it easy. It's all also fully hyperlinked and bookmarked and stuff, so it's great. It's so easy to use. I think that's it. So I guess everyone have a good holiday season, whatever holiday you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate a holiday season, have a good time until I see you next, which will be the 7th of January. I'm going to swap over to the post roll where you can see all of the schedule stuff and whatnot. So until next time, have a good one, and thank you for being here, and thank you for having me on XPath. That is the relevant link. See you around.